It's Wednesday, April the 26th. Lake level's about 9:18. It's actually come up 5.5, 6 feet since my fishing report last week. Got a bunch of rain this past weekend. Water's come up a bunch, and they've been generating about 10,000 cubic feet a second. Really moving a lot of water, but looked like the lake stabilized today. They kind of caught up with it. It's actually gone down the last 3 or 4 hours. It's gone down a little bit. But there's still, quite a bit of water yet to come into the lake, and then we've got a couple more days of forecasted rain. They said we'd get another 2-3 inches of rain. So a lot of kind of crazy things going on the lake. The river arms, like the Upper James, the Kings, the Upper White, and Long Creek, some of that's really muddy. But if you get down a little ways, like in the James River, just about the Ants Creek is where the water clears up quite a bit. I think it's around Campbell Point the other way. And I didn't fish the last 2 days, but Monday I was down there by the dam. And that's going to be your clearest water from about Kimberling City to the dam. But anyways, down there at the dam, it was scary clear. I mean, the water was so clear, visibility's probably 20, 22 feet down there in spots. Now, a lot of the same, with all that rain coming in, the water's actually cooled down quite a bit, especially in the river arms where that dirtier water's coming in. Where the temperatures cool down, the water that's coming into the lake is colder than what was here. So you'll notice the dirtier the water you're in, the further up the rivers you are, the colder the water. You'll find some 56, 57 degree water, sometimes maybe even 55. Down lake, where it's clear down by the dam, Monday it seemed to be 58, 59 degrees. But a lot of things changing. I mean, about all I can do is tell you what we normally do when the water comes up like this. I think a lot of the fish have not spawned. Some people think that the spawn is about over with. I think we're far from over with the spawn, because I've been catching some Kentuckys out there deeper that have not spawned. And I still haven't seen a ton of fish, up on the bank. I've seen a lot of beds, but nothing like what it normally is. So I think from this new moon that we got now up to the next full moon, we're going to have another big wave of fish come in. And I think the dirtier water is going to be better to fish once that sun gets out too and warms that water up a little bit. Now, a lot of the same stuff is still working, especially down lake. A Ned rig, anything in a green pumpkin or a watermelon. Kind of stretchy there, but the Ned baits are still working real good. And probably the most consistent, the thing that's been working for several weeks, is a little 2.8 Kitech. Either throwing it on an underspin or just throwing it on an 1/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce jig head. Most of the time I'm setting the boat in 15 to 18 foot of water. Now this is primarily in the clear water, where the water's still pretty stable. There's still a ton of smallmouth up on the bank and out there suspended, and there's a few largemouths and Kentuckys with them, but it seems like it's still predominantly more smallmouth. Another good thing to throw in the clear water is I've been catching quite a few on a green pumpkin or watermelon rig, watermelon red tube, and I'm putting either an 1/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce head up inside the tube, fishing it just like a jig on the bottom. But you'll find that a lot of the fish that are suspended will hit the bait before it gets to the bottom. So when you cast out and engage your reel, you want to try to keep a fairly tight line as the bait's dropping, because a lot of your bites will come on the drop, same as they will on the swim bait. And I can't emphasize enough how slow you have to fish this. I mean, it's, you want to get it down about 5 or 8 feet and just reel it super, super slow. Now, with this water coming up at 9:18, that puts a bunch of buckbrush and bushes in the water all over the lake. There'll be 2-3 foot of water on most of the bushes. And like I say, I think a lot of fish have yet to spawn. When that water starts to warm up and that sun gets up, I think a lot of these fish will move right up into the bushes. I know last weekend I was catching them at Bull Shoals when the water came up in the bushes. I was flipping them on a beaver and a creature style bait and a jig, but most of those fish I was catching down there had not spawned yet. I just couldn't get any real big bites. And big fish have been kind of hard to come by. It's you know, you catch a lot of 2.5 pound fish, but it seems like 3.5 to 4 pound fish have been kind of bonus fish. They've been bigger fish. But what I'm going to throw up in the bushes, I'm either going to I'm going to throw a spinnerbait, flip the bushes, or wacky rig it. And a couple different baits I'm going to flip. This is a ½ ounce pig sticker. It's a Bobby Albert jig. It's got a green pumpkin with a little blue, and I've actually got a little plastic chunk on there. But any kind of twin tail trailer like a Ultra Vibe Speed Craw, or Baby Rage Cross, you know, Strike King will work good. And I like a beaver bait, like a Strike King Structure Bug, or Reaction Renovations Sweet Beaver on a 1/4 ounce Texas rig. And at this level at 918, I mean, it's the bushes, like I said, will have 2-3 foot of water. So they'll either be on the willow trees or some of that buckbrush, but you'll have to probably flip quite a bit of stuff to see if they're on the points or how far back in the pockets they are. The problem is if we get another 2 to 5 inches of rain and that water comes up, you know, another 3-4 feet, it's going to put so much water on a lot of that buckbrush, it's actually going to flood a lot of that to where you can't even really get to the bank because of the timber. You know, if we get another, say, 3 to 5 foot rise, what I would look for to get up to the bank is like where people have been mowing their backyards. Other places you're not going to be able to get up to the bank because the trees are going to be so thick, but I would look for areas that were open before it flooded and look for isolated trees. They may get on the base of hardwoods, or there'll be like bushes that were in the backs of some of these yards where people were mowing. That's kind of a key thing to try to key on. And like I say, if I see some bait and if I feel like there's some active fish around, I'm probably going to cover it first with a spinnerbait, depending on the water clarity. If the water's not too awful dirty, I'm going to throw this, I think it's a chartreuse purple shad. It's a War Eagle makes it. It's like a purple shad with a few strands of chartreuse in it. One gold, one nickel blade. If I got a lot of color in the water, I'll throw this coleslaw. It's white blades, white and orange skirt. You know, and a lot of times too, when this water comes up, something to key on is the old bank line, which from what it came up last weekend would be about 6 foot deep right now. A lot of times we'll take a crankbait, like a Wiggle Ward or a Series 5 Strike King, and try to crank that old bank line. Well, that's where we want to try to key on with the tube bait or a jig. But probably what I'm going to do first is check the bushes, because I think that's where, if the water is stable right now, but if it stays this way, the fish that have not spawned, I think are going to start moving up as that sun gets up and the water warms up. Now the topwater bite, you know, I talked last week about how if we got some clouds and rain, I thought the topwater bite was going to be phenomenal. Well, it was actually really good for me Friday and Saturday, but then as this front came through and we got more rain, the temperature got colder and colder. Water temperature cooled down. My topwater bite got worse and worse each day. But I would still check a topwater, especially if you've got pretty good water clarity. You know, if the water hasn't dirtied up too much, I would still try some of the main lake and secondary points. And a lot of what I would keep an eye on, if you see any surface activity, then I'd pick that spook up or a Strike King Sexy Dog or walking bait, or maybe even a jointed redfin, and throw it out in these areas where you're seeing some bait surface, or on the submerged points that are the main lake secondary points that got submerged timber. Now, if you're throwing a topwater in the dirty water, I would probably throw like a popper or even a buzzbait. But you know, from what I've seen right now, I think it's going to take a few days of warmer weather to get the fish more active, where they'll come out and chase a buzzbait. But it's going to be a lot of different things, you know, happening and changing. Guys just going to have to kind of fish on the fly depending on, you know, what the water level is going to do. Even if we don't get any more rain, There's still a lot of water to come in. I just came in from Springfield. The James is running pretty hard. The Finley River's running. And I'm sure the Kings and Long Creek are too. So still a lot of water to come in the lake. And as they pull more water out of the lake, it's going to take that mud that's in the rivers and kind of pull it down lake, down towards the Kimberling area and Baxter, eventually down by the dam. Now, it won't get muddy down there. It'll just get a little bit stained. But if you find that your better bite is in the clear water, which I will find out tomorrow where it is for us, but I would key on probably from the James River in the White at 0.9 up to the dam. That'll be your clearest water. And that's probably going to be the most consistent. You know, like I say, but a lot of those fish in that area, you can catch some decent fish, but I'm catching more just keep, 2-pounders to 2 1/4 pounders. I think there's going to be some bigger fish starting to show up around them bushes now that water's coming up, but it might take a couple days of sunshine to get them up in there. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.